Mexico lost? What the heck? Hello everybody, welcome back to the Bedtime Catholicism Podcast. I'm your host, Jared Lopez of the Applied Sainted YouTube channel. And today I just want to talk about how the World Cup can be interpreted to help us with our own salvation. Now, you're probably like, Jared, how does a sports game help with my salvation? Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. For some background, this week, the annual FIFA World Cup that happens every 4 years is about to end. It ends this week. It's actually, in the beginning, I was rooting for Mexico because I'm Filipino and the closest thing to the Philippines is Mexico. And I was so happy in the beginning, and yet they lost to England. And I'm very mad about that. But anyways, the Philippines is gonna win the next World Cup anyway. So, FIFA, I'm paying attention to you. You better add the Philippines next year, next World Cup, okay? Anyways, I digress. Yeah. So how does the Philippines? See, I still got the Philippines on my mind because they're about to win the World Cup. Anyways, how does the FIFA World Cup help us with our salvation? Well, I think it has to do with this. Community. It does have to do with community. The whole world, the reason why the whole world still exists is because of community. If we didn't have community, there would be tons of more wars in our homes, throughout, the whole countries fighting, there's already a lot of wars going on right now in the world right now, like public wars that are actually affecting people, like innocent people. But, there have been wars in the past that have been resolved by, having peace because of what? One factor, unity. A sense of unity, which happens in community when we commune and then we unite. Okay, so how can community help us reach salvation? Well, it's because we all have a role to play in this world, much like how the soccer players in the FIFA World Cup play soccer, and just any basketball, soccer, football, whatever it may be, whatever sports, okay, whatever sports game you watch, the team, they work together. Every team works together. The Avengers, they work together. The Justice League, they work together. The Legion of Doom, even, they work together. Yeah, supervillains, even they work together. Even though they want to, do things for themselves, they still work together. Because they all have a common goal: to win. Whatever they might win, it depends, okay? Whether it be a trophy, whether it be world domination, whether it be achieving world peace, whatever it may be. Communities everywhere help each other to achieve a common goal. And that's because, again, everyone has a specific role in achieving that goal within their community, within their team. The same can be applied to salvation history. One person who had a unique role, who I can think of right now only because I have a personal devotion to her, is Mary. Mary had a special role in salvation. When she, said yes to God, when she was called to bear His only begotten Son, when she said yes to the Father, she played a role in the life of salvation. St. John, all the apostles, St. James, Thomas, Matthew, Simon, Jude, they all had a role to play in salvation. Now, just because we are not in the Bible doesn't mean that we don't have a role to play in salvation either. That doesn't mean that we don't have a role to play in the salvation of others either. Your call to serve one another and to be a saint can help another person reach heaven and attain their salvation and help increase their betterment in their relationship of God. And that is the role you play in their salvation. Now, I'm not saying that us people as humans personally, of course, offer judgment the same way as the Father does. Of course not. But we all have a call to sainthood. And when you look at the Catholic Church's lists of saints and blesseds and servants of God, you'll see that they played a role in others' lives, not just to the people that they talked to when they were alive, but also to you. When you read someone's life, when you read the life of a saint, I think it really helps. Oftentimes it helps with how you interpret your spiritual life. And someone who was a very big factor in that for me was Blessed Carlo Acutis, who is now a saint, Saint Carlo Acutis, and Saint Maximilian Kolbe. They both played, when I read their stories, they both played a role in my thinking, in my mindset of just like, okay, well, if I want to, be in heaven like you, Saint Maximilian or Saint Carlo, then I have to look at your life and I have to examine, okay, what did you do right? What did you do wrong? What did you do that made you so noble that you became a saint? And when I mean noble, I mean like that's like holy. What did you do that was so holy that you ended up becoming a saint? And it's not that these saints wanted the attention as they do now. I don't think Saint Maximilian Kolbe wanted any attention. I don't think Saint Stephen wanted any attention for being stoned to death. I mean, it's kind of an embarrassing way to die when you look at it now, because now that we have, so much more modern technology and, of course, in all those things like stoning, like, are you serious? You died to stones? Like, when you hear that, it's like, are you serious? But I'm only saying that because to put into perspective that these saints, I think so. Oh, my dad's here. Okay. Is that these saints, they didn't want to be seen, and yet they are shown to all of the church, and they are recognized by all the church for more and more saints to exist. The reason why we acknowledge saints, the reason why we acknowledge the lives of others is because their role in our salvation matters. There might be a saint who is very vague, or maybe someone who's not even recognized by the church, and yet they still can play a role in others' lives. And that's why we need to take into account why the FIFA World Cup is so important, because it reminds us that we cannot achieve our goals, let alone go to heaven, alone. We can't. We have to discern with others. We have to build each other up so that we can ultimately reach the goal, which is heaven. And that's why even if you lose, even if your World Cup team loses, even if your soccer team loses this year, like how mine did, you have to recognize that although they lost, we still have to show good sportsmanship to each other. Because honestly, the salvation of others, we should value before ourselves. We should. Now, I'm not saying you should, try to convert people when you're at a very low place in your spiritual life, okay? Of course, do not do that, okay? But if you're at a low place in your spiritual life, then you need to build on that. You need to grow in that so that other people will be inspired enough to look at your life and be like, oh my goodness, that person was like me and he grew so much that he became a saint. He became an MVP. Because we're trying to be MVPs in other spiritual lives so that they might be able to get to heaven. That's the goal. And I think a lot of us Christians, we fail to realize that heaven is the goal. It's not, trying to get something to look cool or like aesthetically pleasing, or it's not about the outside. It's about here. It's about our soul, and even much more in here, in our souls. It's about heaven. And if we really wanted to be with God in heaven, we would share that love that comes from God with others. Thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully, Philippines will be in the next World Cup, and hopefully they'll win too. Ave Christus Rex and Ave Ave Maria.